very much. First of all, for spelling my surname right. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm a professor of strategy and sustainability at the School of Management of University College London. I've been working in this field of sustainability as a researcher, as a teacher, as a consultant for many years now. And I believe that this topic is, really a hot topic in industry today, and it's going to be a very interesting conversation for us to, discuss what is happening and what type of changes are taking place in industry in the next years. Thank you for the question, which is indeed an interesting question, and I guess a very hot topic for many organizations these days. So I guess sustainability is something that is in the agenda of many entrepreneurs and executives today, because I think there is now evidence that there is a link between sustainability performance and financial performance. So there is a real business case for companies to engage more with sustainability, to make sure that on one side they perform better financially, but on the other side they also have a positive impact on the environment and a positive impact on society, which is, this well-known concept of the triple bottom line of a business. So for many years, if you look at traditional strategy or traditional business planning, that was an exercise made with the ultimate objective of increasing revenue, increasing profit, entering new markets. And that is, probably still the case. It's the ultimate objective. But the problem is a bit more complex today, because you do need to achieve these objectives by, developing a responsible business and making sure that ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance factors, are integrated in the decision making. So if you look at the classic elements of the classic elements that build the business case for a sustainability strategy or for integrating the sustainability into a business plan, typically there are two key things that companies try to address. On one side, there are risks that companies need to manage, and this means that there are risks associated to not being sustainable. And on the other side, there are opportunities that can be explored through sustainability positioning. So my suggestion from a business planning perspective would be to clearly highlight what type of risks are addressed with the business plan from a sustainability perspective. How, for example, are you dealing with climate change if, for example, climate change is threatening your operations in the business? Or, for example, how are you dealing with changes in consumer demand if these changes are putting at risk the portfolio of products or services you offer? So a business plan should reflect a clear understanding of these sustainability risks that the company is facing, and at the same time should reflect how the company is planning to use sustainability and sustainability positioning to explore business opportunities that could lead, for example, to the launch of new products, the launch of new services, or for example, to enter specific segments of the market that value particularly sustainability efforts. So in the moment companies, organizations decide to look at sustainability as something strategic, I think this should be recognizable in the business plans they produce. I guess that is a very good question, because I think it is a question that many organizations avoided in the past to answer, because we have seen many cases of companies approaching sustainability from a marketing and communication perspective only. But this is a question of how you link your sustainability strategy into your competitive strategy is actually the right question. And I guess the answer to that question is that you start from the competitive strategy of the organization. This means companies tend to follow different competitive strategies. So you may have for example, organizations that develop a competitive advantage through cost leadership, or for example, you have organizations that develop a competitive advantage through differentiation and a very specific positioning of their products and services in the market. So whatever you do in the sustainability space should help you to execute these strategies. This means if the focus of your business is to be very competitive on prices, and you try to cut costs as much as you can as part of your competitive strategy, the sustainability agenda and the sustainability initiatives should help you with that, and should reflect that type of competitive strategy. If, for example, the focus of your competitive strategy is to differentiate through sustainability and use that for example, entering international markets, again, your sustainability strategy should help you with that objective. So typically when I work with my client organizations, I start the first meetings by discussing their competitive strategy. We don't discuss sustainability at all. And then, based on an understanding of what they are trying to achieve with their competitive strategy, at that point, we start discussing sustainability and the type of initiatives they could develop to support the competitive strategy. I strongly believe that in the context of for-profit organizations, a good sustainability strategy should lead to a better financial performance. And in order to enable that, you need to make sure that whatever you do in the sustainability space is not about philanthropy, it's not about CSR, is actually smart business that will help you to become more competitive. Okay. I guess the best way to answer your question for me is to try to give you very quickly a summary of how this topic of sustainability evolved over time. This is not a new topic. It's something that really emerged in the 50s and 60s. And at the time, the focus was really on what we tend to call CSR, corporate social responsibility. This means a recognition that business activities may have negative impacts on the environment or society, and the idea that companies, organizations, to be good citizens in society, decide to give back part of their revenue or part of their profit to mitigate these negative impacts and to support initiatives or projects that create positive impact. So the initial, the origin is kind of really, CSR. Personally, I do have a very big problem with that type of approach, because if you are a profitable organization, the risk is that you will never change your mindset if your approach to sustainability is based on CSR. This means you keep, developing the business as you always did. You keep having your negative impacts, and because you are very profitable, you use a part of that profit to support some initiatives of positive impact and be perceived, in society as a good corporate citizen. And substantially, what you do is you just clean your brand. Right. Substantially, sustainability has been approached based, on CSR and philanthropy for many years. I would say probably until the 90s. The 90s were, I would say, a moment of time that changed the conversation significantly in this sustainability space, because in the 90s we had some very big corporate scandals that were driven by sustainability problems. Yeah. Many may, for example, remember the scandal faced by Nike in the 90s. And for the very first time, it became very evident that there was a clear link between sustainability problems, brand and reputation, and financial performance. And this, clear link, a problem, for example, in your supply chain, could become a massive problem for the reputation of an organization, and this could lead to big problems in terms of financial performance. So I believe that in the 90s is really when organizations started realizing that an approach based on CSR, an approach based on marketing, an approach based on branding wasn't enough to basically perform from a sustainability perspective. And that's when I believe companies worldwide started taking this more seriously. And in the last 20 years, we have seen a massive evolution in this field. In the 90s, we had concepts like the triple bottom line that emerged to basically say that companies need to have a proactive approach to this type of problems, a dynamic approach. The topic of ESG factors integrated in decision-making and investments became popular and used in practice. You had the new concepts emerging, like the creation of share value. So this idea that companies that are able to develop the business in a way that is not only sustainable, but is helping to address the big problems faced by society, they do have a greater potential to be successful financially. And last but not least, in the recent years, we have seen this topic of purpose emerging very strongly and being embraced by many organizations, including the financial community, because a very strong message on importance of developing business with a sense of purpose came from BlackRock's CEO Larry Fink. And this was, again, a very important moment for this sustainability debate. So I just published a book on this topic of corporate sustainability, and I basically provided what I believe is a good definition of modern corporate sustainability. And the definition I'm suggesting in the book is that the corporate sustainability is an integral approach to business. So it's really about strategy and business models and business planning, aimed at enhancing the competitive positioning and profitability, because very often this conversation takes place in the context of for-profit organizations. And basically, this should be based on sustained creation of shared value, co-creation practices with stakeholders, because for many organizations it's impossible to address the big grand challenges that we face in society. So very often the type of a transformation that you need to drive in a business calls for a lot of collaboration with other stakeholders, for example, in your industry or outside your industry, and the kind of integration of the ESG factors in decision making. So I believe today that business leaders do realize that sustainability is not, anymore a fancy topic. I believe that they do appreciate that there is a very clear link between your sustainability performance and your ability to compete in the market. And I believe that there is an understanding that this is the decade for action. And if you don't take this seriously now, your competitiveness is at risk in the future.